This episode is brought to you by Audi. The road is calling. Embrace the thrill of the drive with the all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. Featuring effortless power, serious acceleration, and advanced Audi tech. It's not just a new EV, it's a new way to experience driving. The all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron is here. The next chapter of Audi starts now.
I was never really a runner. The way I see running is a gift, especially when you have stage 4 cancer. I'm Anne. I'm running the Boston Marathon, presented by Bank of America. I run for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to give people like me a chance to thrive in life, even with cancer.
Join Bank of America in helping Anne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportAnne. What would you like the power to do? References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation. Copyright 2025.
Good morning, guys, and welcome to the podcast. I've got an entrepreneur for you coming out of Austin, Texas, Vince Covino. He's the CEO of Warrior Sage, and we're going to hear all about what Warrior Sage is, Mastermind community, helping entrepreneurs learn about how to scale, connect with like-minded, offer resources. And I'm really happy to have him on to share his story and talk about Warrior Sage. So Vince, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here, man. I love talking business, entrepreneurship. It can be lonely. And so being able to hear other stories from other people, their journeys, I'm happy to impart that and happy to talk about that. I think it's a great discussion to have.
Yeah. Briefly talk about Warrior Sage, what it is and how it got started and your role.
Yeah. So Warrior Sage has been around for around 35 years, and they've been in the leadership, specifically in the CEO coaching and business strategy realm. My partner who founded the company 35 years ago has a Kung Fu martial artist background. It's a very honor and spirituality and depth and inner connection has been foundational to the company. I came in a year ago as a client. I was seeking out a CEO coach and interviewed him. 2 or 3 interviews in, I thought, wow, this is incredible. I could see how this would change my life. And so I hired him to be my coach. And I think everybody ought to have a coach. And we were maybe 3 or 4 months in when I realized I want to be a part of this company. I want to be part of what he's doing. I believed in the mission. I believed his mission is that of Warrior Sage is to enlighten, unify, and mobilize leaders. And so we have several circles. One's a mastermind of business owners. These are people that are already very successful in their lives, but are looking for greater expansion, looking for business mastery, mentorship, also looking for inner depth, just to more expansively serve a higher purpose, whatever that is for their business and for their life. And so between my partner Satya and myself, we work. Our primary flagship product is this mastermind. Just a few dozen people. It's a very highly curated group. Unless you're very successful in your life, unless you're enlightenment, wisdom oriented on that path of inner spirituality, that's probably not the right group. You need to have been an accomplished entrepreneur that's already in the millions in revenue. And then we have a coaching program or a coaching mastermind as well for very successful clinicians, psychiatrists, therapists, life coaches, and so forth. And that's about 45 people in that circle. And that's been an awesome experience, as well as the collection of some really incredible humans. So those are our main 2 products. And then we do events, we do transcendent leadership retreats, and we do relationship retreats.
Interesting. And talking about the client avatar here, we're a business entrepreneurship podcast. And for those that are interested, because I love how you talked about CEOs and that are interested, what is the number one need that people come to you for their mastermind or coaching? And how is it different? Because there's YPO, there's a lot of different communities and organizations. What niche does Warrior Sage serve?
Oh man, I love the question. Hey, thank you for the question, honestly, because I truly love talking about it. It's a deep passion of mine. What I realized a year ago when I hired Warrior Sage is I had a business mastery. I knew how to scale. I had raised tens of millions of dollars. I had made tens of millions of dollars. I had 550 employees, built 14 different locations. And that was one of a dozen businesses that I had, and most of which still have. Some of them I've exited. What I realized was that I hadn't gone through the deep inner work, the deep soul searching, identifying the purpose. Why am I doing this? What am I trying to accomplish? That process revealed blind spots, wounds, childhood stories, imprints. I was a very devout Mormon up until 2 years ago. So there were indoctrinations and programming that was deep imprinted upon me, capitalism, religion, and so forth. And while I knew how to scale a business, I didn't have the expertise on the inner work side, the heart connection to my mission and to the people that I felt I could have. I had great relationships, I believe, for the most part. But what I see happens with most business owners is that these are either great, humble, amazing humans that have great relationships, but don't have an expertise in business mastery and scaling and automation, and don't understand really the difference between having a job and having a business that's self-managed and automated, and that they can actually sell, that they can scale and turn into a very valuable asset. Then on the other side, there are those that are very good at that. And we've seen that where they become very wealthy, but the relationships are starved. They're not aligned with what makes them feel most alive. And so our mastermind combines the outer business mastery, the money mastery, with the inner mastery of aligning the mind, the heart, the purpose, the mission of the business, the mission of your life, your vision for your future, an alignment of those things. So it really begins with that inner work. And then from there, building on that foundation to build a company that truly is scalable, that is truly self-managed, automated, something that can grow, something that can become an asset, something that creates freedom. Most men and most business owners, men especially, they have a lie that has been imprinted upon them. It's a script that's been given to them from society. Once I have this much income, this much money, when this happens, I'll buy the home, I'll get this, I will be happy. Dude, I had airplanes. I had a 9,000 square foot home. I had cabins, plural. I've had the fastest, fanciest collections of cars that you could imagine. And I'm here to say that it's not all it's cracked up to be. It's really not. And so what I've found, and this is why I resonated so quickly with Warrior Sage, is that there was a depth of my essence that I had covered up as armor, some walls that I had created. And I understand now why I did it, but most people don't know that they even have those psychological wounds, those trappings, and that they're living in these little tiny boxes that are keeping them small. They're keeping them from living fully and from experiencing their relationships fully. Most people miss that. So that our mastermind and our coaching program both help people to basically elevate that and create a level of consciousness as they lead their companies and as they lead their lives that most people just never awake to.
Interesting. And I'm thinking about my client avatar, and they're listening to this, and there's two types of people that come to mind. There's one that's like super successful and they're running away from something, like they could be CEO or entrepreneur, have very multiple businesses such as yourself, but they're running away from something. And then the other client is basically they're using it to mask. They're putting up a mask to hide their trauma and pain. What is causing this, and how does Warrior Sage, either the event or the coaching or the mastermind, help them with that?
I had the most amazing experience a year ago. I went to San Diego for a conference, a 2-day conference, relationship conference. And I was seated, there was about 80 of us there, and I was seated with 8 other business owners. And the people that put this on had orchestrated it so that business owners that were at my level were around me. One of my questions was, hey, I want to work with my peers. I don't want to be talking to some guy with 7 employees that's doing $2 million a year. My business is doing $35 million a year. I want to be networking with people that can help level me up and that have dealt with the challenges that I've dealt with, because new levels bring new devils. I'm at this table and I notice that the other 8 guys that are there, all very successful, $50, $100 million businesses, hundreds, or maybe in a couple of cases, in fact, in one case, 3,000 employees. And I realized that every one of us, when we dug deep, and most people are going to hear this and say, that's not me. And I would have said the same thing 2 years ago, whatever, had a great childhood, and I did. But what I realized that every one of those successful business owners at that table had it's going to sound funny, had a daddy wound. Okay. So in other words, each of us were saying, Dad, look at me now. Is it enough now? Look at this. I remember going to my dad 3-4 years ago and saying, Dad, here's how the business is doing. Here's how many locations, here's how many this, and here's the accomplishments. And here's this private equity company that wants to buy it. And I remember him saying, yeah, if I were running your business, it would be worth $1 billion right now. And I thought, okay, telling him that someone wants to buy it for 50 million didn't impress him, right? So what do? I go out and I put M&A, a merger and acquisition strategy together. I fill a pipeline, I get LOIs, I line up $100 million line of credit. I'm ready to go. I realized, what in the world am I, as you said, what am I running from? Or what mask do I have on? And it's this. It is that those men at that table, all of us, that had accomplished a lot of success, a lot of ambition, a lot of business mastery, were seeking external validation. And I could see it in them and they could see it in me, but it was harder for me to see it in myself. So I would say to this guy, Keith, let's call him, bro, your wife doesn't want a $1,500 bottle of wine, man. She may say she does. And you've got her in that habit with the Range Rover and the Bentley, but bro, that's not what she's after. I can see it. I can see under all that. She just wants you, man. She wants your time. She wants your heart. She wants your love. Not a bottle of wine. That's a fucking apology for a gift. The only gift is you. And I realized that each of us had been seeking external validation for our worth. And so whether we're running from something or we're masking something, I think what we're masking is, I'm not good enough. I'm not significant. I'm not lovable. Even if I accomplish this in business, I still won't be good enough. She still complains. Yeah, because that's not the problem. The problem isn't more money. I remember thinking, when I get to 10 million, I'm going to be good. In fact, going back, I remember thinking to myself, when I have 100 grand, I'll be good. I'll be liquid. And then you get to 1 million and you're like, okay, 5 minutes later, man, that's not going to cut it. Look how much insurance costs. Look at the mortgage. My mortgage at the time was 22 grand a month. It was, wow, I need to go out and make more money after I pay taxes. It's not $1 million. It's only 600. And it's just never enough. Little Mermaid would sing, you want thingamabobs? I got 20, but who cares? No big deal. I want more. And so we all had that because we weren't centered in our worth.
And then another follow-up question I have for you, because a lot of my entrepreneur friends, they have a very high consumptive lifestyle, very lavish, and they do it to impress others. And how do you, once they do this deep inner work, they're healing, and then there's this dichotomy between this high lavish, you need more and more, versus you have enough to do what you need to do. And usually that's a lot less than what you think you need. So how do you reconcile that when people are just programmed to be like more and more, get the next milestone?
People need to get clarity. I've done this 5 times now, and I would just recommend everybody do it. But it's a future self meditation. It's literally sitting an hour and talking to your future self and saying, what is it that I envision? What is it in his grace and his love and his presence and his leadership and his accomplishments that I'm proud of? What do I admire about this man? And then have him answer me somewhere in that future quantum realm. Getting a little esoteric here. But in that process, you begin to get clarity on what is enough and what do I really want? Who do I want to be there? What do I want to be doing? How do I want to be sharing my gifts and talents with the world? What contribution can I ultimately make? And if I'm at my funeral, what are they talking about? I hope they're not talking about how many businesses I owned and how much I made. I just scares the hell out of me to think that would happen. I went to a funeral once and they were talking about how this Supreme Court judge, who was such an incredible man with a giant heart, I loved him. He was a mentor to me. And all they could talk about was all of his professional accomplishments. You guys freaking missed it. That's not what this guy's about, man. You missed his life. Did you not connect with him like I did? I was so puzzled. I even thought some of the people that are very close to him that I thought were very close to him, and I missed it. And so I'd say begin there and then go back and say, how much is enough? And the key there is really simple. People need to learn how to live within their means. And we just suck at that as humans because of the external need for getting approval, for saying, look at me, look how good I am, look how smart I am, look how successful I am. And when that happens, you want to look as successful as possible, which means when you make $1 million, you spend 1.2 and you mortgage your future. Now you have to go out and make 1.5 million the next year because you live in a lifestyle for 1.2. And that keeps happening. People do that with $10 million of net income and they're freaking broke. So you got to have the clarity of the mind of what do I really want with my life? What do I want to be said at my funeral? Someone from my work, my partner, my wife, my kids, if they're my best friends, if they're talking about me at my funeral. If AI were given a 60-second summation of my life at my funeral and it heard every part of my life, what would it say? Would I be like, oh man, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
So clarity.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that clarity. And then a follow-up question, because we have around 5 more minutes, a follow-up question is, in this day and age where we've got technology, we got social media and now AI, and how do you help the community or members balance this sense of deep inner work versus the distractions of technology, whether to embrace it, whether to watch it? How do you help people embrace this day of change?
This is super important. I'll tell you why. 2 weeks ago, I led the mastermind. We do a 90-minute mastermind every Thursday. And I led it on AI and how to utilize it in your business and how to embrace it. We talked about who moved my cheese: early adopters, early leaders. The business owners who do not deeply adopt and appreciate and embrace, not a distraction with AI, but embrace it. Learn it, study it, literally spend 3 hours with it. Watch a replay of our mastermind, and you'll see how the people in my mastermind are using it to make themselves 300, 400, 500% more efficient. The data on businesses small businesses even, that utilize AI is so conclusive and so clear, meaning it's irrefutable, that in 5 years, there will be 2 businesses, those that embrace AI and those that are not in business. So it's not a distraction. It is something to be embraced, harnessed, and everybody from the very top to the very bottom ought to know how to use it, ought to have training in it, ought to be immersed in it, because we are in a productivity revolution. And the people that don't embrace AI are going to get absolutely left in the dust. Their lunch will get eaten.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that quote, those who use it and those who are out of business. And really interesting. And I think a lot of clients listening to this, they resonate with your message. How could they reach out to you, connect with you on LinkedIn, visit Warrior Sage, and learn more about the community and the resources that you offer?
Yeah, we'd love that. If you're a real successful entrepreneur and you've been successful, but you're looking for the highest levels of expansion, go to vincecovino.com or warriorsage.com and learn about us. If it's something that comes alive for you when you watch our videos, you see our messaging, hit us up.
Yeah, really love that. So I love talking about the journey, the experience, and keep up the great work.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. This was an honor, man. Thank you.